Hi and welcome back. I hope that our previous lesson got you thinking about this new amazing journey that you are on. This section is entitled, This is Yoga, and we're going to start off by asking the question, what is yoga? In Sanskrit, the root word of yoga is yuj, Y-U-J. In English, that means to yoke together, to bring together. In English in the West, we have kind of bestowed upon yoga the word union, which is complex in a way because it's not quite what to yoke together means. So yoking together goes deeper than just the physical. Yoking together means becoming one with. And what is it that we are aiming to become one with? That is the divine. Becoming one with our higher selves, our enlightened selves. Yoking together with universal energy. So yoga in itself, the word, means coming together, and the intention is enlightenment. Yoga originates in India thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. And it is a full practice, it is a full philosophy, it is a way of life. So you can't actually do yoga. That's referring to what you do physically is the asana. So yoga is not something that you do, it is a way of life. It is a number of practices linked together, of which the physical, the asana, is one aspect. So going into this word asana that I've mentioned quite often, asana is the physical poses. It's the name of all the physical poses together. And asana, the word asana means seat or connection to the earth. A cool way to remember the word asana is get your ass on the floor. So it's asana, asana. So your ass is your seat. It's your connection to the earth. Going deeper into what yoga is, we have to look at the philosophy of yoga and at the spiritual aspect of yoga. Yoga is not a religion at all. It is a philosophy, and above all, it is a way of life and a way of being. To yoke together, become one with, the union refers to the union of the individual soul, which is each and every one of us, with the divine. So the teachings of yoga talk of God, but not necessarily in the religious context. The other words we use that can replace the word God is divinity, expanding consciousness, divine spark in each of us, source, energy, higher power, the universe. It is not a man-made concept, and it's not manipulated by man. So it is that energy that is divinity, that is the universe, that is source energy. In the yogic scriptures, it says that we are all this divine energy made manifest in order to learn lessons. That starts to go a little bit deeper into the philosophy and the concept of karma. So we're not going to go into that just yet. We'll get into it as we go. The purpose of yoga and all the practices within yoga is to help the individual soul, you, realize that you are divine, that you are the universe. You've just been compacted down into this human form, into this meat suit that drives us around the planet. There's a beautiful saying, we are spiritual beings having a physical experience, not physical beings having a spiritual experience. So we are the spiritual, just made physical in order to experience this thing called life. So yoga is all about coming together with the divine, becoming or acknowledging that you are the divine, that you are magnificent, that you are powerful beyond your own imagination, and that you're able to manifest anything that you put your mind to. Yoga for beginners is looking at the active path, So there's many different paths of yoga, and we are focusing on the active path. The asana, get your ass on the floor. The breathing, the meditation. This is called the Raja Yoga path. Raja means royal, and this Raja Yoga path refers to the active path of yoga. So we're doing a lot of things to reach enlightenment. There are many other paths, like there's Karma Yoga, which Mother Teresa was a Karma Yogi. She dedicated her life to selfless service. There's Bhakti Yoga, which is devotional yoga, where people just sing and chant. You can have a look at Krishna Das. He is a beautiful Bhakti Yogi. None of the paths are better or worse than each other. None is right or wrong. You just have to find the path that works for you. I use Raja Yoga. I practice Raja Yoga. It works for me. And I hope that this path will work for you as well. This is a holistic practice. It takes care of the physical, of the energetic, of the emotional, and of the mental. Mental aspect of yoga is mindfulness. Mindfulness is a very important practice that is included in yoga. So we learn these specific practices that we can incorporate into our everyday lives so that it becomes a lifestyle. If you are not here for all the spiritual lifestyle change, all of that stuff, that is perfectly fine. If you're just here for the physical practice of this course, then this will definitely help you explain all the basics of the physical and introduce you to going into a studio. But yoga is so much more than just the physical. Yoga is a little bit of magic. All the practices of yoga together start to shift your perspective, how you see life, how you see things in life, how you see yourself in life, and starts to change how you see the world and how the world sees you. So applying these practices to your life is a very wonderful way to build the life that you want. My teacher Sharonji says that magic is a shift in perception. So it's using these yoga practices to shift your perception of the world around you, understand things a little bit better by understanding yourself a little bit better. Relating to yourself a little bit more enables you to relate to others more easily. Going into Patanjali's 8-limbed path to enlightenment. We're not going to be going too deeply into this on this course, but we will send you a link to one of our tutorials that explains Patanjali in detail. So Patanjali was a guy about 5,000 years ago, and he set out the Yoga Sutras. So Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, he wrote them as an almost manual on how to live a yogic lifestyle. And it is important to include an overview of this in the class because it's the basis of yoga. It's the basis of the practice that we're going into. It is the Raja path, the royal path, the active path. So his story is about his mother was very lonely and she wanted a son. So she sat by the river and brought her hands together her heart to pray for a son. So as I mentioned earlier, this is Anjali Mudra. Mudra is hand gestures. We're not going to go into that in this course, but it's relevant for the story. So Anjali Mudra, Patanjali's mom sat by the river, prayed that that she would receive a son, and she opened her hands and Patanjali fell down and landed in her hands. Pat in Sanskrit is to fall. So Patanjali, and that's where his name comes from. The Yoga Sutras are a set of 4 books. Each book contains about 50 sutras. And the Raja Yoga path, this 8-limb path to enlightenment, is established in the 2nd book, the chapter on practice. So firstly, Patanjali gives us a 1-step path to enlightenment. And that step is to just surrender. To surrender your personality, to surrender your likes, your attractions, to surrender your dislikes, your aversions, to surrender your neuroses, to surrender your habits, to surrender all your human stuff. And if you can do that, then you will be happy, you will be free, you will be peaceful and joyful and content. But as humans, that seems a little bit too easy. Just surrender and you'll be happy. So Patanjali set out the 8 limb path to enlightenment. The 8 limb path doesn't have to be done step by step. You are practicing everything simultaneously. You don't have to master one to move on to the next one. And they are called practices for a reason. Sometimes we mess up. Sometimes we don't do the practices. But you can come back, reset, and then start your practice again. The first limb in this 8 limb path to enlightenment is the yamas. Yama means restraint. And it is how we treat others and how we relate to others. And as much as we hold these characteristics very highly, treating with regards to others, we also want to point them towards ourselves, direct those characteristics and attitudes towards ourselves as well. So the first yama, there are 5 yamas. The first yama is Ahimsa, which is non-violence, compassion and kindness. It's living with respect for all living beings and all life. You are included in that. So it's having non-violent, kind and compassionate energy towards yourself as well. Satya is the second one, the second yama. Satya is truthfulness. So it's being true to your word. The Yoga Sutras say that when you become established in Satya, in truthfulness, what you say comes true. So your words become so powerful because they are truthful that you can make things happen with your words. So it's truthfulness, not lying to others, not lying to yourself. The next yama is asteya. Asteya is non-stealing. So it's not taking what does not belong to you. This doesn't only apply to material possessions. It's not just about stealing someone's handbag or cell phone. It's also about stealing people's ideas or not giving credit where credit is due. And it's also about stealing time. So it's taking time from somebody that is not freely given to you, overstaying your welcome in a sense. So asteya is not stealing, not taking that which does not belong to you. Brahmacharya, the fourth yama, is about respect. The yogis of old used to translate Brahmacharya as complete sexual abstinence. But in this day and age, it's adjusted, the energy's changed a little bit. So it's about having respect for others in a sexual or physical way. So it's about listening to somebody when they say no. It's about consent. And it's about being respectful of yourself and other people in that divine energy of sexual creation. The last yama is Aparigraha, which translated means greedlessness. And it's about not consuming more than what you need. It's about only taking exactly what you need and nothing more. Because there is more than enough on this planet to go around if we all just use what we need. The second limb of this 8-limb path to enlightenment is the Niyamas. The Niyamas are observances, how we behave in ourselves. The first one is Saucha, which means cleanliness. And it's cleanliness of what you consume. So it's cleanliness, the good, wholesome food that you eat, what you are allowing into your body, not just food-wise, but what you allow into your eyes, what you allow into your ears. And it's really an active practice of curating what you allow into you. The next niyama is Santosha, which is translated, it means contentment. But to find contentment in your everyday life, in what you have right now, you need to be grateful. You need to incorporate a mindfulness of gratitude. So if you are grateful for what you have right now, you will be content. The next niyama is tapas. Tapas is a burning desire to achieve something. It's a burning desire to practice and to achieve. And it's this desire that sits in your belly, it's a fire in your belly in order to practice and achieve and be disciplined in what you do. The next niyama is svadhyaya. Svadhyaya is about mindfulness, it's about awareness, and it's about being conscious. So svadhyaya is translated as self-study. So it's looking into yourself, taking yourself off autopilot and understanding why you do what you do. The last niyama is Ishvara Pranidhana, which is surrender. This is that one-step path to enlightenment that Patanjali mentions at the beginning of the sutras. Complete surrender. If you can surrender all of your stuff, you will reach enlightenment. The third limb to this 8-limb path is asana. It's the practice. It's what we will be doing shortly on the mat. There's a beautiful yoga sutra that is entitled Stiram Sukham Asanam. May the connection to the earth be steady and joyful. So your practice should be consistent, steady, should be grounded, solid and steady, and should be joyful and connected. The fourth limb is pranayama. Pranayama is kind of been translated as breath control, but it's so much more than that. We'll go into that in a later lecture. I'll explain exactly what pranayama means. The next step is pratyahara. Pratyahara means the withdrawal of the senses. So it's taking your energy and your awareness from out there and bringing it back onto yourself, turning your awareness, your gaze inwards so that you can start to learn more about yourself. Pratyahara is about learning to focus on a specific object. The next step is dharana. Dharana is about concentration. So it's using pratyahara, drawing your energy, your awareness inwards, and then concentrating on a specific object. The seventh step is dhyana, which is meditation. Again, we'll get into this later on at the end of the course. We have a whole section on meditation. The last step is samadhi. Samadhi is enlightenment, it is freedom, happiness, contentment, and being completely equanimous. That is the 8-limb path to enlightenment. And as we go, we'll touch on parts of this within the yoga practice, within the asana practice. So everybody wants to be happy. It's that simple. Yoga is about realizing your inherent happiness. It's a happiness that exists in each and every one of us. And the path of yoga provides us with a very practical means to awakening that joy, that happiness. It is our natural state of being. So we're using yoga to clear away all the other stuff, all the mud, to get to that natural state of happiness. A question I get quite often is, what are the different styles of yoga? We have a tutorial that explains everything in detail. We'll send you the link to that. They all are different aspects of the yoga practice expressing themselves in a certain way. So there are things like vinyasa yoga, which this course, the physical aspect of this course, has an element of vinyasa yoga to it. There's hatha yoga, which is about a lot of stillness, a lot of focus on one pose at a time. Iyengar yoga uses lots of props. Bikram is the heated one. Restorative is using bolsters and blocks to support the body. Yin yoga goes deep into hips and hamstrings. Kundalini is a very energetic form of yoga. Yoga Nidra is known as sleep yoga. There are way more types of yoga, different styles of yoga to what I've explained here, which we will go over in our tutorial. So like I mentioned, this course itself is vinyasa based, and Ashtanga based, which is where my lineage comes from, Jivamukti Yoga. These teachings that I'm passing on to you from my teachers are self-revealing teachings. You can observe yoga in your everyday life. You probably already have a number of yoga practices existing in your life already, they're just not labeled as such. There's a beautiful mantra that I have chanted at the beginning of most of my teacher trainings with my teachers. The chant in English says, "We accept each other together, we respect each other together, may we not resent one another." It's a beautiful chant to chant together before we take this journey. So right now, while we sing this chant, while I sing this chant and invoke this beautiful energy of mutual respect, you can close your eyes, bring your hands together at your heart for a moment. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvima Vaditamastu Vid Vishabhai. Om. Thank you so much. Our next set of lectures, our next section is about starting out. So I would like to thank you today for your time, for your energy and your attention, and we'll see you for the next lecture.
The divine light in me recognizes, respects, and appreciates the divine light in you. When I am in that place in me, and you are in that place in you, we are one. Namaste.